They have school off tomorrow. I didn't know till tonight.
Friday? Cool.
It's terrible. I'm Jason.
And I'm Jules.
And we doing filmographies. Oh my God, are we already 5 into Don McKellar?
Man, we've watched so many movies. I've watched more movies doing this podcast than I think I had collectively for the 5 years before we did the podcast.
That's interesting. You know, I never really got to watch any movies unless I could talk Jenny into one on the weekend because my mind wanders if I try to watch them by myself late at night.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So yeah, I'm seeing a million times more movies.
This is a movie.
32 short films about Glenn Gould.
This is the fifth
Don McKellar.
Don McKellar.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, we're really doing it. And it's a fine movie.
Do you have a lot of trivia?
No, I have a little bit. It's not even really that trivial.
Do you have information about Glenn Gould?
I mean, I looked him up when we were watching it.
Tell me about Glenjamin.
So Glenjamin was a Canadian pianist, probably one of the most popular ones, not specifically just in Canada, but throughout the world. He was known for doing, at the time, radical interpretations of Bach and other classical, what do you call that, composers.
Was it basically, it was like Bach meets nu metal?
It was basically like Bach meets bop, bebop. You know,
Okay.
just on a piano.
Yeah.
He didn't really do much with other instruments. Although there was a short film that was a bunch of guys on string instruments with wildly dated haircuts, all wearing black turtlenecks, I guess playing one of his songs.
I mean, those are Canadian men in 1991 or whenever they filmed it.
Mm-hmm. Here's the problem. It's a fine movie, but I think just dropping into it cold takes its toll and affects my enjoyment of what this would have been more enjoyable had I maybe known the guy or was interested in this style of music or just was watching a Miles Davis documentary and then this is suggested next. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. You know, I'd be in the mood. Because the music's actually pretty good. Some of it I really like. I like the stuff that he's listening to and he's just like,
I wish they could see you doing that.
Yeah. Because I don't know if you recognized anybody in this movie.
Yeah.
Who'd you recognize?
The main guy,
Combe
Fiore.
I'm sorry, other than Combe.
Don McKellar.
Other than Combe and Dom.
The guy from Highway 61.
Other than that. I'll channel you. I'll funnel you, rather.
Okay.
They're recording. One of them's a sound engineer. The other guy brings him coffee with cream. He says you shouldn't drink coffee with cream. The guy working the board.
Yeah, I liked those guys. I remember them vaguely. Who's that?
I'm pretty sure the guy working the board is the gangster boss from Boondock Saints.
Fuck you, eat shit. Why you keep boondocking me?
Say the N-word.
I don't remember Boondock Saints. I hate Boondock Saints. And you're always like, hey, man, you know this common reference point where we remember all the stuff from Boondock Saints? No.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought maybe you'd know him.
All right.
Whatever.
I'm sorry.
That's all. I knew him, though. I'm like, what, that voice.
I don't mean to be aggressive.
This movie is structured after Glenn Gould's most famous piece that he played, Johann Sebastian Bach's Goldberg Variations, which are 32 short pieces of music that are played together. What do you think about that?
I think that's cool.
This was included among the 1001 movies you must see before you die.
Oh.
Edited by Steven Schneider.
Oh, man, we did it.
We did it. And we're dead now. I have no idea how much this movie cost. Kind of feels like
a little bit, man.
Made for TV kind of thing. It grossed, however, I guess maybe it was in the theater then. It grossed $1.3 million. There is a tagline for this movie. The Sound of Genius, period.
Oh, all right.
Well, why don't you just hit us with that synopsis?
I didn't read it yet, and then we'll do our shot.
It's actually probably the worst synopsis I've ever written. Yeah.
Why so bad? Why so serious?
Because it's just a regular synopsis.
32 short films about Glenn Gould. An exploration of the life and legend of Glenn Gould, Combe Fiore, a renowned classical Canadian pianist and cutting-edge recording artist in 32 short films about Glenn Gould. Okay, are we shots?
Yeah. Whoa.
Tonight we're drinking bad shots. Now, they're often terrible, but Jules found some really gross flavors inadvertently. We have 99 proof whipped. That's right. It's whipped cream flavored liqueur.
But it's got a cherry on the cream. I wonder if there's a little bit of cherry in here too.
Well, why is the fucking cream purple blue also? Blue.
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's bad.
That was extremely difficult to swallow.
Fuck.
burns too.
Are we ever we're gonna drink these 99s forever, huh?
Yeah.
Until I have to quit drinking or something?
Until it's court ordered, baby.
Number one thought,
Uh-huh.
Glenn Gould seems clearly very autistic, and nobody seemed to know that back then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wildly. Gesticulating with his hands, isolation, calling up people and prattling on for hours while not engaging with them one bit, just a wave of sound coming at them.
Incredibly asexual.
Yeah. That compulsion to wear the fancy outfits even when it's 100 degrees out.
Mm-hmm. When we see him as a kid just rattling off mathematical whatever.
I think this movie's kind of great.
Oh, yeah.
It was very boring. When Colm Fiore was on screen, though, it was very compelling.
Absolutely.
I loved him in this.
Absolutely.
I thought he was actually wildly handsome in the early segments.
There's a sequence where he's in a green room and he's just walking around listening to the music. It's like, I don't know if it's an apartment or an office or something, but the camera actually pans around him and it looks like they built either the full set or they're in an actual room. But he's listening to his music and he's just walking slow. And then all of a sudden he just gang, 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 like that. And it's with the music. I was like, whoa. It looked great. He was great doing it.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of this guy before. I mean, not that I probably would have.
Glenn Gould?
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
So I'm just sort of wondering if, like, everybody that's working on it, like, knows, of him. And
it very much seems like he was quite the big deal there.
yeah. Yeah, he's interesting because he basically plays, according to the film, I don't know if specifically this is how it was in real life, but he just plays the concert and then he never plays another concert ever again. And he embraces recording. So he's just constantly recording, like I think hundreds of recordings, songs, and interpolations and interpretations, I guess. I don't know. I guess he must have written his own music too, or maybe not.
Two guys that know nothing about Glenn Gould speculating about Glenn Gould.
Because, he's just riffing on that old shit. But then, yeah, he would apparently hold all of his interviews over the phone. He dressed like he was homeless, so he just went where he wanted and nobody bothered him, apparently.
But classic homeless, not current homeless.
Oh, yeah. Boxcar Willie.
Well dressed,
Chic.
but too many layers. Like I thought he looked good.
Yeah, when you told me that that's what that French guy was talking about, I was like, well, he's got a coat on and gloves.
And the hat.
And a hat. I mean, I assume it's because of Canada in the winter. Not like he was like...
No, he's got like a comfort outfit he sticks to, I think.
50 jackets and plastic bags on his shoes or anything.
I think this movie is really respectable. I think it's very interesting how they structured it. Now, I was super bored a good chunk of the time, but I also felt like those things had their place in this movie, and they didn't necessarily work for me, but as a creation, as something somebody made to try to put his life on screen and have it be all-encompassing to go into snippets of people playing his music, snippets of his actual music with animations I don't care about, interviews with people that worked with him, but then the narrative, which I was very locked into.
Yeah.
I think this movie's kind of great.
That's the problem, because I absolutely did not like the two animation sequences that I can remember. And the one with the balls was very long.
I hate it. But I mean, they're also giving you his music, which I know nothing of, but also it doesn't do anything for me.
No, that's just it. Like, there were times I was blown away by the music, I think specifically in the sequences where Combs Glenn was interacting with it.
Yeah, I need to see Colm Fiore because he's amazing.
And I really, 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 really liked the conversation scene.
Oh, in the diner?
Right to the front door. Should have
Seen the look on our parents' face. $50, pal. 50.
Yeah. They screwed us, man.
And then the apparent recording that he had done.
Simply traveled it month after month and year after year. I can't conceive of such a person being really...
And then he starts recording himself talking. I don't understand what was going on.
I'm not really
there.
sure, but apparently he had created, 4 or 5 programs for the radio. Didn't he say he recorded like 400 or 500 hours to make those?
There are 5 programs I've made that have taken 300 or 400 hours of studio time.
Yeah.
Some insane amount. Like, boy, this guy.
Well, and from my cursory inquiries, he didn't just record, but he himself was actually very much into the recording equipment.
Yeah.
And technology. and had embraced a lot of shit.
And that's the one guy was saying, is that he used the technology to distance himself from people. It was a way to dive into it deeper so he could pull further away from everybody.
But also an exploration of whatever was going on in his brain and kind of leading, you know, the way that music would go from there. Because this was like the 50s.
Yeah.
No, well,
he died.
It came around in, I think he got popular in the 40s, 50s, and then he died in the very late 80s.
I think he died in 82. I'm going to bring up the wiki.
Do it.
And do we maybe just do the narrative parts?
Yeah, I mean, basically, you know, he comes from a family that actually doesn't seem to be that destitute or anything. It's obvious at a young age that he has a predilection for being able to identify music and notes that everybody says is a sort of genius, that he himself says, well, I just had a, God, I wish I could remember. I should have wrote this down. I need to start writing this shit down. He basically says, like, it's just one of my things. Not really that special, just the thing I'm good at that I found that I could do. What do you got?
Born in 32,
Mm-hmm.
died in 82. Like a week after he turned 50.
Yeah,
The
literally.
year I was born.
Which they comment on in the film that he had some sort of a premonition, or there was some other famous person that he looked up to that themselves had died at a weird age.
When he turned 65, he was terrified that he was going to die because his age was divisible by 13. So he consulted an astrologer friend who assured him that he would survive until the next time the numbers conspired against him. Great, he thought. Another 13 years. I'll be fine till I'm 78. Well, 11 years later, however, when he was 76, the astrologer wrote back to warn him that it's not only numbers that are divisible by 13 that he ought to watch out for, but also those whose digits add up to 13.
I forgot to carry the wand.
Magical thinking. We start off, the aria is number one. That's just the person walking towards us in the snow. Is that Glenn Gould in the very first one?
Because it goes back to him at the very end.
It reminded me of do you remember when I made that In Boyle video with Phil where he's dragging a body to the camera?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got in my car and I'm on the run.
Is that one titled, though? Do we see the title for that one?
No. And then we go right to Lake Simcoe, which is where he's growing up and he's little.
Yes.
How old is he? He's like 6, 5? Does he say he's 5?
Yeah, probably.
He's 37 years old.
As a kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
He's
seems
Benjamin
like
Button.
they do seem to have a nice home in the woods. And that's what he always like strives to get back to, right? That's the vibe you're getting. He likes country living. He likes country folk. He likes being part of the land.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to really, he doesn't like cities is the vibe I'm getting.
Mm-hmm. And his cousin, she even says that he was so unaware of how important, I guess you could say, he was, or really what sort of level of notoriety he had.
His fear was that nobody would come to his funeral. That's
Right.
what prompted that talk.
Yeah, right. Because he was so isolated and insulated from society
And
that,
he had like a weird satellite collection of people he talked to, but he talked at.
yes.
But all of those people seemed to treasure him, even if I think they were probably disappointed that that's what the relationship was, but they were willing to take it.
So I guess I'd miss him. I missed his intelligent comments, and I missed listening to his 20 questions, not particularly to me, but...
It's like if Tom Cruise called you and talked till 5 a.m. and didn't listen to a word you said.
Right.
You'd still be like, oh, it's pretty cool, man. Tom Cruise calls me and he talks for a long time.
Because you're still you're sharing something, not specifically the text, but the idea that they can comfortably confide in you,
Yeah.
and you can comfortably absorb it.
I don't know that he's really confiding, though. I think it's ideas. I don't know.
Well, but that's the confidation.
Okay.
Okay, it's just a whatever, but
It's word vomit.
it's the unspoken level of trust that he has within you that he can do that. That's not something he does to everybody. And in some way, you're probably just helping him work through some process.
But also, it kind of seems based on towards the end, he could have been hopped up on amphetamines.
Oh, absolutely. He was on all sorts of shit that counteracted with other shit, according to him. His gut, primarily, was the culprit.
So I could see him being fucking zooted out of his mind, and that's where the late night phone calls come into play.
Well, and also back then, if they just didn't quite have a grasp on the medicine to help treat these things. So it's like he's probably not getting anywhere near what he needs to stabilize. And then in addition to all this other stuff, yeah, it's just whirling dervish.
All right, so that's Glenn Gould as a child. Now
Okay.
we're going to go right to...
This is great. You're leading this one.
45 seconds into Chair. This is our first glimpse of Colm Fiore as Glenn Gould. The music is playing, and you slowly zoom in on Colm Fiore, the youngest Glenn
of
Gould
course.
will see as him.
Yes. That's the youngest?
Well, I mean, as Colm Fiore.
I thought we saw him later.
No, it's linear, buddy. He ages throughout the thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
You didn't pick up on that?
There was absolutely no sense of when any of this took place.
He looked incredibly handsome. I didn't really realize who was playing him, and like as you slowly move forward, I'm like, look at these striking features. His hair's a little sloppy. He's losing his hair, but it's just this interesting look as this intense music is playing, and it's incredibly short. I thought that was a nice introduction to adult Glenn Gould.
Interesting. Yeah, I thought he looked exactly the same throughout the entire film.
Oh man, his
Except
hair,
for one time when he had weird young hair, which I thought came later.
he's got his hair gets shorter not long after
Okay.
this. And then he talks to Bruno Mansignan. That's a musician and collaborator. That's the guy that talks about him wearing the too many clothes and the hot days.
Okay.
Looking like
And
a
that's
tramp.
just a talking head interview.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's two of those.
In
Three
Paris?
of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oui, he says.
Then we do Gould meets Gould, and it's all in shadows. You can't really make out either of
I
them.
didn't like that one.
You didn't like it?
It was too Aaron Sorkin-ish.
From a setting in which the naked fact of your humanity is unedited and unadorned.
Couldn't I at least be allowed to display the tuxedoed fallacy, perhaps?
Please, Mr. Gould, I don't feel we should allow this conversation to degenerate.
The dialogue, and I was just getting lost with it in the music.
No, that's fair. I found myself tuning out a little bit, and I was like, oh, Jason, this is what you do. Lock into what they're saying. This might be important.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really think it was all that important.
No, because it was basically just like, he's telling him answers, and he goes, I don't want to hear about this bullshit. I want the real shit. Why are you like this? He goes, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, I don't think that. And then, what's number 5?
Hamburg?
That's where he's in the hotel.
Oh.
With the maid?
Does he play a song for her?
He does. She comes in to do her maid duties, and he goes, hang on a second, sit down. And she goes, I'm not supposed to be doing any of this. And he puts on the music, and he sits there looking at her. I'm racking my fingers together.
This is so unpleasant. I really hate it when people play music for you.
And she's just like, what? But then the music captivates her. She puts her maid tray down, and she's just like, whoa, this is baller. What was that? What was that? And then she gets up and she walks over, and he's just like, yes, my precious, I'm going to kill you next. And then she looks at the record and she goes, what? You?
Yes.
And he shows her his boner.
Yes.
She jumps out the window.
No, it's not for you. It's for the music.
Uh-huh. Like, get the fuck out. I'm done with you.
Variation in C minor. I don't know what that is either.
Is that the one with the squiggly lines?
I have no idea.
Could be.
I don't know what a lot of these are now. Practice. The LA concert.
Oh, the LA concert where it's his last concert and he signs that guy's.
That's the one with Don McKellar, right?
Yeah, so he's backstage and a lady, he's got his hands folded, crumpled in a sink, just with steaming water. And the lady's outside like, Mr. Gould, it's 5 minutes. Pulls his hands out and he just looks at him. What the hell? Steaming. And then she's on the phone. I don't know, girl. He may not. Oh, he's coming out. And he comes out. I'm going to walk you down to the thing. He goes, word.
Is he steaming the germs off?
I think he's just limbering.
It sounded like they implied that he was upset with germs.
Did they say that?
I think it might have been in the old man foreign interview that you didn't have subtitles for.
Okay. Because, yeah, nothing I saw in the movie would indicate that. But I thought he was just getting limber. And so she takes him downstairs, and that's when we run into Don McKellar. And he's his handler / assistant / agent.
Jesus Christ, I remember none of his dialogue now. I remember being like, oh, McKellar's good. He's playing like kind of a regular guy.
He's playing a little, it feels like a real sort of Johnny Hollywood kind of agent guy.
Oh, and there is a reception after. Yeah, I know it's going to be square as fun, man, but it would make a couple of gray-haired ladies really happy if we just walked through it one time, you know?
Hey, man, I got you going to here, but don't worry about that. I got the schedule here, though. And we're going to do this, and then I'm going to take you there, but don't even think about that. That's not even important. And then we're going to do the... Anything you need from me, man? Hey, we're in L.A. You want to go see more of the city? And he's just like, no. And the lady goes, sorry, the elevator's taking forever or broken.
So they decide to walk.
We got to walk. And Don's like, all right, cool. And then we never see him again. So, yeah, they got to walk up all these stairs. Shh, all the signs say. Yeah. Backstage, don't talk. And they get up to the, what I would call gorilla, but it's sort of like off-wing.
What, gorilla?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
In professional wrestling.
Oh,
there's a room called Gorilla.
Okay. Honestly, I go, oh, Jesus Christ, because, it surprises me. But also, it's great.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Okay.
It amuses me. I'm just like, it sneaks in just like the train and the license plates and the fucking video game pops. I don't expect them every time. I was like, oh, fuck, really? Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gorilla.
So he's just standing, off curtain, and he's waiting. And the lady's behind him. And all of a sudden, this old guy comes up.
He was sitting in a chair.
Yeah, he comes over. He goes, hey, man.
Is he security?
No, I think he's just the guy that, runs the ropes or something.
He's the Mr. Pulley.
He's probably got a cigar, smoking off camera. And he goes, hey, man, can you sign this for me? My wife loves ya. I make love to her while listening to your music.
I'm retiring in a week or two, and I'm going to start a garden? What is he doing?
Yeah, he's retiring. He's going to start a garden. I think he said he's going to build an atrium maybe. And he's just like, well, fucking baller, dude. Enjoy it.
Tell your wife she has exceptional taste. Also, she's very lucky. I'm never going to sign one of these again.
This is going to be my last autograph ever. And this is my last show.
Isn't that like what it says on the record?
Yeah, he's like, hey, congratulations on your thing. Good luck with your thing. And I'm quitting.
I think he's like, this is a special night. And then he looks at it and feels this is in fact his final concert. He never does another one.
No, and the lady's just like, oh, that's weird. He balls it out. And then he quits. And I guess he fires Don McKellar.
Yeah, you don't need him no more.
Although there's a lady that we get interviewed later or somewhere around here where she said she worked as his chambermaid for a number of years. And later in the movie, we see him in a room with just notebooks stacked all over the shelves and shit. So I'm like, man, was he smart enough, or was somebody smart enough to just hire 4 or 5 people that just handle aspects of his life? Don't interfere, but then allow him to just do his thing. Because, it just seems like he's completely... We see him order food once, but it's like, I don't know, you just never see him doing anything normal. So it kind of feels like he would just die of his own volition because he wouldn't feed himself. Because we see him just driving up in his Lincoln to just random phone booths and calling people in the middle of the night.
I think the song struck him on the radio, and he saw a phone booth, and he had to call that person.
It happened before, though, when his car's running, and he's just in the phone booth.
Isn't that when he turned up the radio so they could hear what the song was?
That was that, but there was a different one, too. I think when he's by the wharf.
Jules, you wouldn't understand. There used to be phone booths everywhere.
Well, that's what I said. I'm like, this phone booth's in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
This is incredible. I wish we still had these.
That'd be cool.
Wouldn't it?
That's how you can change into your outfits.
I'd use them. I don't have change. I probably would never use it.
You'd take a dump in them.
Well, I'd do that now. So, wait, you want to keep going, or?
I don't know.
What are we on, 6?
I got no battery on my phone. Truck stop is number 15. That's the good one. It's where he pulls up into the truck stop.
He orders food.
Yeah, and he listens to everybody's conversation.
Yeah, that is a good one.
I find that fascinating. We find out he's a regular here. It seems like he has to drive a ways to get there.
Uh-huh.
He gets some bullshit, some scrambled eggs and some tomato and lettuce.
Yeah, I'm like, is that cauliflower or eggs? I couldn't quite tell because the quality on YouTube's not great. It's fine, but...
It was eggs.
Okay.
You hear a trucker telling a story about picking up the most beautiful girl you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, she's super young.
16, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And she's fought with her boyfriend, fought with her parents, and decided, fuck it, I'm out of here. And she falls asleep in his lap, and he turns around and brings her home. It's already been hours on the road. He's a truck driver. He's got to move his load, not into her, and he brings her home. Because he's got a code of ethics.
And then there's two guys playing pool that are talking about something.
Then there's the waitress. Something going on with another truck
driver.
The guy's
ordering food, but he's in French. So and it was a long order too. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, so you don't know what that's about?
I have no idea what he ordered. If he was even ordering. Maybe he was still jib-jabbing. I don't know. But
they had like a weird thing going. I think that they were in a secret relationship and then he was being moved.
This felt like the dialogue that's interspersed throughout Dark Side of the Sun. No, Dark Side of the Moon? Pink Floyd? There's a guy in there. I'm not afraid of dying. They just interview all these people at Abbey Road.
That's in the album?
Yeah, and they just pepper it throughout the record. Some guy is talking about something. But then it cuts to him in a recording booth. And the guy goes, I'm just going to let it run. You do what you do. And he's just pacing around this little room. And it sounds like they're playing recordings of people having similar dialogue.
And then he's layering them. So there's one that's a little bit more in the foreground. And it's harder to pay attention to the other one.
Yeah. And he like does a hand gesture that suggests, oh, that's where that one slides in. And the guy comes in. And then I was talking to this person and they did this thing. And then he, boop, like he's conducting.
Yeah.
And the conversations are just overlapped and overbearing, and it's just really, really good. And then all of a sudden it stops, and he grabs the mic and he goes, hey, this is Colm Feore, and I'm playing this guy, and I'm talking about the radio now.
I'm Glenn Gould, and this is True North.
So, yeah, there you go. So I'm like, was that all just in his brain?
I don't know.
Centering him?
Do you kind of want to find these radio programs?
I thought I would, actually. I'm surprised sitting here thinking, why did I stop looking into that?
I've been weirdly busy the last few days. Otherwise, yes, I think this... I feel like it's exactly the type of program I'd like to listen to.
This is Glenn Gould, and this program is called The Idea of North. I've long been intrigued by that incredible tapestry of tundra and taiga which constitutes the Arctic and subarctic of our country. I've read about it, written about it, and even pulled up my parka once and gone there.
And then, I mean... the rest of the movie, and
we meet up with a guy who was his piano tuner who misses him.
Okay.
He talks about how he would schedule him months in advance, unlike most people who are like, can you come over tomorrow?
Right.
And I think he said, Gould treated him with respect, but, talk at him, and he misses the nonstop talking.
Mm-hmm.
He seemed to genuinely miss this guy.
There was the guy who... Glenn called him and was just talking nonstop, and he was laying on the floor in his house.
Fell asleep.
And then his son came in and he goes, Da-da, wake up.
His son came in and kicked him in the foot. Somebody's on the phone.
And now's the time I choose to fight you.
And Glenn Gould was still talking.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't even think he realized that I wasn't listening.
I don't even know how long I was asleep for.
Mm-hmm. I really didn't like that guy.
Why?
Telling this story. Felt so fake. It's like, get out of here.
There's the guy from... a highway from Roadkill, Roy Seth.
Okay.
Is at the phone booth. He's interviewing him over the phone.
Oh, that's him.
He's asking about the isolation. Is the technology just allowing him to pull away from people?
But we also see POV of 2 or 3 people interviewing him.
That lady?
The lady with the microphone in her cleavage who wants to know if he's gay.
Yeah.
The other lady and the guy behind her in like a bleacher or something.
What about children? I mean, have you thought about that? What do you look for in a woman? Or maybe I should just say, what are you waiting for?
And they're just asking questions and they're getting increasingly upset. But so I guess, is he not even answering?
That's probably the questions with no answers sequence. Yeah.
He's just sitting there.
And then I think we cut immediately to the personal ad after the interviews where he's writing up a personal ad for friendship. Somebody that is willing to go on long car rides and talk about whatever. And
I missed that.
It's like it's very specific for what he would be looking for.
No photos required, financial status immaterial, all ages and non-competitive vocations considered. Applicants should furnish cassettes of sample conversation, notarized certification of marital disinclination.
And calls up the place to speak into the phone to read the ad to them because that's how you had to do it back then.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just hangs up and crumples it up.
Oh, interesting. I don't remember that at all.
Probably at a seizure.
And then he is back on the ice. This was kind of funny because the guy's interviewing him But he's like shouting the answers or the questions from like 100 feet away or something.
Yeah, I liked that one.
Let's talk about the radio documentaries you made for the CBC.
Well, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
He's in a big coat and boots, and he's on the frozen shore of Lake Ontario. And
well, he's talking about, isn't part of the discussion about going somewhere far north that he's never been before?
Yeah,
and
he
it's
wanted
been something he's wanted to do for 5 or 6 years, but his schedule always gets in the way.
He wanted to go to, I believe, the Arctic.
Oh, yeah.
But not during the summer like every other pussy. He's like, I want to go when it's dark in the winter. But I just haven't had the time. I swear I'm going to do it, though.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, right.
And he never does.
No. And then he dies. And
well,
the movie's over.
There's the late night phone call from the car. I guess you're right. Yeah, the second one.
Yeah, that's what he called.
Is it Genie?
Genie.
That's the one where he's relaying the story about the person that thinks they're going to die, and they're referring to their astrologer, numerologist, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be hinting towards his end. And then they cut to actual Genie, who's old, and she seemed to really appreciate him.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah, he had a stroke, and he was on life support for a week. Mm-hmm. And he never regained conscience, and Genie pulled the plug on his ass.
Yeah.
She says, finally, peace.
Another one was voiceover on all sorts of different pills.
Oh, yeah,
and the implication is he has all of them and takes all of them?
Yeah.
Valium, a minor tranquilizer used to relieve symptoms of tension and anxiety. Avoid using this medication in conjunction with antidepressants.
And there's some comedic moments. This could upset your stomach. Don't take with this. This is the thing I just said don't take, and I take it.
And then he's dead.
Yeah.
I like this. I found it, the isolation seemed to get him good towards the end. I thought that was interesting, the way he seemed to dream of hermiting himself. And then I don't know how great that is towards the end that he actually pulled it off. There's that one of them, he's in like a hotel or a cabin on the lake in winter, and he's on the phone talking, and you could see the lake out the window. And it just seems so isolated.
See, I thought that was the one, now that you mention it, where he was young.
No.
Like a Beatles haircut or something.
That's towards the very end.
Okay.
Yeah, I like this movie. I find it dreadfully boring some of the time, but everything with Colm Fiore I really liked.
Yeah, except for when he's interviewing himself, I hated that. But
I was okay with that. At least it was early in the movie, so you're still kind of getting your bearings.
I think this is probably the best way to approach examining a real person, a real famous person's life.
Do you know that Don McKellar co-wrote this with the director?
I did see that, yeah.
The director wanted to make this. I think he wanted to make a movie about him when he was still alive. No, maybe?
I don't know.
And then he approached Don McKellar about making it because he has a background in music. And he was like, well, he's doesn't have a very interesting life. But they decided to do it, and he wrote the more comedic stuff, and then the director wrote the more factual stuff.
Yeah, it's an odd compilation of like straight talking head historical documentary portions.
It seems like it would have been done by 32 different directors, but it is not.
That's what I was expecting, yeah. But no, it's not, which is very odd. But I think before I was so rudely interrupted that this is like the perfect this is the perfect approach to telling, I don't know, the story or the life of like a famous person. Instead of, you have a row with your lady and all of a sudden you're just like, get out of my life, girl. Go on and hit the road.
Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back.
Yeah. It's like, or, hey, I'm going to write Cherry Bomb all of a sudden.
What'd you say?
Cherry Bomb.
Oh.
That one movie with the ladies.
Did you watch that?
I did. Phil wanted to see it.
I don't think I made it through the whole thing.
Yeah, it's not very good. Yeah, instead of like trying to recreate or come up whole cloth with like conversations that you knew probably occurred to some extent, but you don't know what the fuck they're saying. Yeah, I don't need to see Freddie Mercury writing Bohemian Rhapsody. It's interesting to see some sort of interpretation of like how he would have interacted with his own music and these little mercurial sort of one-offs that are almost like a fantasy,
Is that all we got about this one? It's a tricky one to review.
It is, yeah. Like I said, I could have taken detailed notes and discussed each one by themselves, but I think they're just a, it all culminates into an overall broad appreciation. I think more of this guy than anything else. They didn't try to delve too deep or explain anything.
It's not specific life moments that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, right.
It's pieces that make the whole of him.
His dad wasn't beating his mother.
Right.
And he wept under a piano type of a thing,
No, they show him being moved by music as a child, but also being a fucking weirdo.
And they didn't really delve at all into his training or studies, which I guess just weren't important. He just learned to play the piano and found his way to his music, and bingo, bango, bongo. He's so happy in the jungle he refuses to go.
What's your score for this film?
For this film, I'm going to give it a 6.
Okay.
There are very strong elements, and there are very strong parts that I really, really, really liked.
If this was just Come Fiore, I think I would have loved this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was all pieces, like what is already there with Come,
Mm-hmm.
if it does the exact same thing, there's just more of them,
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have loved it.
Yeah, sort of like a, God, what was his name? I always forget his name now because I never think of him because he's tarnished.
Kevin Spacey.
As Beyond the Sea guy.
Oh, Bobby Darin.
Yeah.
You say 6?
Yeah. It's probably way too high, but that's immediately what came out of me, so I'm going to go with it.
I'm going to give it a 5.5, almost a 5, just because it is a struggle to get through, but the things that I liked, and I liked them a lot.
Yeah, and it's interesting because everybody knows him from Umbrella Academy.
See, can I tell you what I know him from?
Please.
Give me what I want and I'll go away.
Give me what I want and I'll go away. He's the demon ancient creature man from Storm of the Century, the Stephen King miniseries.
Christ, I never saw it.
It's on the tail end of the Stephen King miniseries. It's not great, but just remember that.
Interesting.
He says that. He just keeps telling people, give me what I want and I'll go away. Otherwise, basically the whole town on this island is going to be frozen.
Oh, he's like a
what he
frost
wants?
guy?
He wants the main character's son.
Oh, yeah, take him. Yeah, what do you give...
Don?
Yeah.
That is 6. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't even really remember him. I
Yeah.
remember liking it and being like, oh, cool. He's doing a thing. He's doing a regular guy thing. I don't know. You said more like a flim-flam manager, but...
A little bit. It feels like a Keith Gordon kind of role.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I
felt like it was different than the other roles I've seen him in. Like, the other ones seem slightly more specialized, where he's playing reserved weirdos, whereas this one's a manager.
What do you think? Do you think he just did it because it needed a guy? Or he wrote it and he's like, I'm going to be this guy?
Yeah, maybe he just wanted a small role in it.
Yeah.
Don, 763-634-1897. Can you tell us why you chose to be on screen in your film?
I got to tell you, man, I'm getting a real solid appreciation, again, for Don McKellar.
I'm just waiting for you to be like, well, I don't like Don McKellar now because I saw him in this movie. I said 6. What'd you say?
For Don?
Yeah.
I didn't give him anything, but I'll give him a 6, too.
We like Don McKellar.
Mm-hmm.
Don McKellar, we like you.
Yeah, even in, short supply. Yeah, so that's it. So the end of the podcast.
For the week. Sounds so definitive. Hey, do you know what? This always sounds the fucking same. Hey, Julian, do you like websites?
I love them.
Oh my God. Have you ever considered going on Instagram, Reddit, Facebook, or YouTube?
Tell me more.
You can look up something called We Doing Filmographies.
Interesting. That's the name of this.
Oh my God. And you can like and subscribe it on all of those platforms and keep in touch with us.
You know what else is on the internet?
I do not know.
A website called thenowplayingnetwork.net. And
you can text us, call us.
Yeah.
763-634-1897.
Can they FaceTime us?
Please do not ever do that. I will not answer. I would be so upset if somebody FaceTimed me.
What are you doing?
As my kids just start screaming at me. You can... 763-634-1897.
Yep. They can also go on the... They can also go on the Apple podcast.
Yeah.
And rate us.
Oh.
And...
Hot or not?
Tell us a movie that we need to watch.
Yeah. But not hanky-panky.
It can't be one we've already watched. For real, though.
Email us at wedoingfilmographies@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then next week.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Number 6.
3 of those, and you got the Mark of the Beast. But next week, we got Exotica.
Yep.
Adam Egoyan strikes again.
Yeah. Coming off of The Adjuster, I'm excited for this. I don't know if I've seen it before.
I know that I know that I rented this as a teenager looking to jack off to some hot shit. And it is, I guess we'll see what